Thanks, President. Just on a point of order before I begin, are we able to get the speakers turned up for us in the bleachers down here? It's just a bit hard to hear. I know we're getting a bit old, but it is a bit difficult to hear, if that's okay. I can hear that one coming out slightly, but I don't think that those ones are working.
Thanks. Thanks, Mr. Grimley, for the point of order. Thank you. We'll look into it. Order. Thank you, Mr. Grimley.
So my question is to the Minister for Workplace Safety, and it relates to the Workplace Injury Rehabilitation and Compensation Act. The Act often requires injured workers to hire legal representation and regularly doesn't operate in the employee's favour. For instance, for those who want to access a new, more effective treatment option to improve their illness or injury, the worker or their legal team has to provide strong clinical evidence that this treatment will actually treat their physical or mental injuries. To my disbelief, and despite the Department of Veteran Affairs having their own dog program for PTSI sufferers, this includes specially trained psychiatric assistant dogs to support PTSI. Minister, has any consideration been given to changing the definition of a medical service or a personal and household service in the Workplace Injury Act to include newer, more effective medicines and treatment options for injured employees?
Minister Steed.
President, I thank Mr. Grimley for his question and for his interest in these important issues in relation to supporting injured workers and providing that. Recently passed legislation in this place, including provisional payments reform and arbitration reform, to make that journey for an injured worker through the sometimes complex Workcover system as easy as it can be. Obviously, every compensation claim needs to be taken seriously, and I'm aware that WorkSafe agents can consider paying the reasonable costs of new and emerging treatments and services in some circumstances. And WorkSafe has a policy which is the non-established new or emerging treatments and services policy on this issue to help guide agents and injured workers in terms of what guidelines and what services might be available to them. And what reasonable costs can be claimed in respect to some of those new or emerging services and treatments. So the government continues to monitor the trends in claims and services, and we're always open to considering how we can make the system better to support injured workers. And WorkSafe do regularly engage with stakeholders about these issues, and through a variety of their existing stakeholder consultation bodies, I'm sure that improvements of this type can be looked at. Obviously, individual decisions on Workcover claims are not made by me as the Minister, but WorkSafe and its agents make those decisions. I'm aware that there are specific requirements and expectations of agents in terms of the timing of response to claims for compensation. And I'm advised that WorkSafe requests for the funding of psychiatric assistance dogs for injured workers with diagnosed PTSD have been made via its policy that relates to non-established new or emerging treatments and services that I mentioned. But I'm obviously very happy to see what other information I might be able to provide the member in relation to this question.
Mr. Grimley on a supplementary.
Thanks, Minister, and thank you, President. I look forward to that information and hopefully some improvements. You may recall me speaking about the late Ron Fenton, who had Yogi as his support dog. Ron appealed a Workcover case where it was determined that Yogi wasn't to be covered by Workcover due to not being an approved treatment option for PTSI. Victoria Police's insurer Gallagher Bassett has a lot to answer for regarding this, but the Workplace Injury Act also didn't do Ron any favours. When Ron won his claim, it was hailed a victory and a precedent. Unfortunately, it hasn't created a precedent, with Workcover continually trying to rule that psychiatric assistance dogs aren't a suitable treatment option despite mounting evidence proving otherwise. According to WorkSafe's own website, primary mental injury claims take on average 27 days to determine, and this is in contrast to just 7 days for physical injury claims. Minister, I'd like to know why it takes reportedly around 9 months for those accessing Workcover for psychiatric assistant dogs to access compensation.
Minister.
For assistance dogs approved under the internal policy for emerging treatments and services. But as I've already indicated to the member, I'm very happy to see what other information I might be able to provide that will be of assistance to him.
Minister statement, Mr. Symes.